Today I'll be demoing version 2.2 of my Addressable RGB controller. It has the capabilities of controlling up to 3000 LEDs, but I've limited it to 400 at the moment for a smoother frame rate. 5 volts is required to power the device. You can connect power to any of the 5 volt pins or through a USB Type-B connector. All grounds have to be common. There are 4 diodes. The leftmost one is a global brightness. These are the buttons on the device: previous, select, next, toggle, reset, and factory reset. The factory reset is there for extremely rare circumstances where the non-volatile memory gets corrupted. This can happen if the device loses power while saving a setting. To use it, hold the button marked FR down until the red bar fills. The lights will blink 3 times. For the demo, I'll be using LEDs arranged in a circle. So when we turn on the power, the first thing we want to do is check if we have RGB or GRB LEDs. This controller allows proper operation of either type. We need to go into the settings and go to setting 4. To see whether we have RGB or GRB LEDs. As you can see, the order is green, orange, blue. It's supposed to be red, green, blue. That means we have the wrong LED mode on. To fix this, we just toggle the switch here, restart the device, and we'll have a look again. Red, green, blue. This is good. So let's have a look at all the settings now. To know we're in setting 1, we can check the LCD, or we can check the first LED color, which is red, which shows we're in setting 1. In setting 1, we can set the length and midpoint of the strip. The length of the strip dictates how many LEDs are going to be controlled, and the midpoint only affects some modes, which we'll get to later. To change the parameters, we'll need to unlock the controls by pressing this button. You can see the status of the control locks by looking at the lock symbol on the LCD or looking at the first LED on the strip, which will be blinking. So when we unlock the controls, we can use the dials to adjust the parameters. In setting 1, we use the second dial to adjust the length. Which is shown in blue on the LED strip. The third dial controls midpoint, which is shown by red on the LED strip. If we want to save these settings, we need to press the lock button to save them. Locked. After saving them, they will be remembered even after a power loss. If you don't press the lock button, they will not save. For setting 2, the first LED color is green. We can set the divisions in this setting. This only affects 2 modes, which we'll get to later. For setting 3, the first LED will be a cool white. In this setting, we can set the color temperature of the white modes, which are mode 1 and 2. We can unlock it, and we can turn the third dial to pick the color temperature that we want. Warm white and cool white. For setting 4, this is where we adjust saturation. Okay, so let's have a look at the modes. To know which mode you're in, you can look at the LCD, or you can see how many LEDs are off during the delay. So we'll have a look here. We're going to go to mode 7, and you can see the first 7 LEDs are off. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. If we go to mode 3, the first 3 LEDs will be off. 1, 2, 3. So for mode 1, this is just static white. There are no special parameters to adjust here, only brightness, and the temperature from the settings that will affect it. So we're going to select a cool white, go back, and you'll see that's a cool white. Just a note, the temperature readout on the LCD is not accurate at the moment. For mode 2, this is breathing white. There are two extra parameters here, the speed of the breathing and the depth of the breathing. So if we unlock it, we can make it breathe really quickly, and we can make the depth very dynamic or more subtle. For mode 3, this is just a static color. Just one parameter here. We can adjust the third dial to pick the color on the hue wheel. This dial goes from 0 to 255. Eight-bit saturation, hue, and brightness dial means that you can get over 16 million different colors. 8-bit means you can have 256 different values for each setting. For mode 4, this is the breathing color. It works exactly the same as breathing white, except we can pick the color this time. For mode 5, we can breathe between two different colors. There are three parameters here. Speed of fading, so very fast, slower. Color 1, so I've picked red, and color 2, red and green. So we'll do green and purple. Where's purple? Just a reminder, if we don't want to save the settings that we just made, we can go to the next or previous mode without locking the controls, and they will not be saved. On to mode 6. This is split RGB. This means we can pick two colors and they will transition to each other through direct RGB transition. The third and fourth dial are used for picking the colors on either end. The second dial is used to pick the width of the transition. At the moment it is at the lowest setting and the transition happens over one LED. If we turn it up, the transition happens over more LEDs. The midpoint that we set at the start of the video will determine where the center of the shifting is. So we'll leave the midpoint at 6 this time. And you can see that the transition happens around the 6th LED. On mode 7, this is split HSV shortest. This is the same as the previous mode, but it travels through the hue wheel instead of doing a direct RGB transition. Shortest means that it will take the shortest path to get to the other color. On mode 8, this is the same as the previous mode, but it takes a longer path. If we compare it to this previous mode, you can see that they start and end at the same color, red and purple, but they take complementary paths. On mode 9, this is a wave effect with shortest HSV. This is very similar to the mode that we just showed, but it moves. We can adjust the speed and direction with the same dial. And we can pick colors with the third and fourth. The division setting will affect this mode. if we set it to 3 divisions, you can see that it's mirrored 3 times. For mode 10, it's the same as mode 9, but the colors take the longer HSV path, which is pretty much the same difference between mode 8 and mode 7. As you can see, between mode 9 and mode 10, the starting and end colors are the same, but they take complementary paths. So this is mode 12, and there's 3 parameters you can adjust here. So I'm just going to unlock it. So the first parameter there is how frequently embers spawn. So this is a lower setting, and you can see that there's nothing spawning. So if I slowly turn it up, you can see this is a very small spawn rate. So you can turn this up even more, but before that we're going to have a look at another parameter, which is how fast it grows and dies. So this is very fast growth and decay. If we turn it down, you can see that they start growing and fading much slower, which gives a much more subtle effect. Another parameter we can adjust is the width of each ember. So at the moment they're around 6 LEDs wide. They can go up to 12 LEDs wide per ember, or as little as 3 LEDs per ember. Like that. So you can play around with this and see what effect you like. And that's pretty much it for mode 12.